Hey, Story Voyagers, welcome back to the channel. Today, we've got two thrilling tales for you. First, in the last call, follow Michael as a mysterious phone call leads him into a high-stakes investigation about his late uncle's secrets involving advanced tech and shady characters. Then, in Notes from the Forest, join our explorer as they uncover hidden codes and dark mysteries in a forest tied to a pioneering inventor's chilling legacy. Hit that subscribe button, and let's dive into these gripping stories. The Last Call. Part 1, The Mysterious Phone Call. It was a typical Tuesday evening in early spring when my life took an unexpected turn. I was a 32-year-old graphic designer living alone in a small apartment in Chicago. My days usually consisted of work, coffee, and occasional visits to the gym. The most excitement I'd had recently was a minor mix-up with a coffee order. That night, as I was winding down and preparing to watch a movie, my phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number, but curiosity got the better of me. I answered. Hello. There was a brief pause before a shaky voice responded. Is this Michael Johnson? Yes, it is. Who's this? The voice on the other end belonged to a woman who introduced herself as Sarah Mitchell. She claimed to be a private investigator and explained that she had been trying to reach me regarding a case involving my late uncle, Richard Johnson. I barely knew my uncle. He had passed away 5 years ago, and the contact I had with him was minimal. His death was sudden and left behind a small inheritance that I had mostly ignored. Intrigued, I listened as Sarah explained that she had uncovered something unusual about his death and needed my help to solve a mystery that had remained unsolved for years. Part 2, The Uncle's Legacy. The next day, I met with Sarah at a small cafe. She was in her early 40s with an intense demeanor that made her seem more like a character from a noir film than a private investigator. She handed me a folder filled with documents and photographs related to my uncle. Sarah explained that Richard Johnson had been involved in various business ventures, some of which had raised suspicion. According to her findings, Richard had been working on a project involving a new technology company that specialized in cybersecurity. The project had been shrouded in secrecy, and shortly before his death, he had made a large, unexplained transaction. The documents included emails, bank statements, and photographs of Richard's office. One of the photographs showed Richard with a man named Evan Carter, who Sarah identified as a known figure in the tech industry with a dubious reputation. It seemed Richard had been collaborating with Carter on a project that had since disappeared. Part 3, Digging Deeper. Over the following weeks, Sarah and I delved deeper into the case. We discovered that Richard had been working on a cutting-edge encryption technology that promised to revolutionize data security. The technology was supposed to be the cornerstone of his company's future, but it had vanished after his death. Our investigation led us to interview former employees of Richard's company, search through old files, and track down contacts associated with Evan Carter. We learned that Carter had a history of legal troubles and had been accused of various fraudulent activities. Despite numerous leads, the breakthrough came when we found an encrypted USB drive hidden in one of Richard's old storage units. The drive contained files related to the technology, but they were heavily encrypted. With Sarah's help and some advanced decryption tools, we managed to unlock the files. Part 4, The Hidden Code. The decrypted files revealed something extraordinary. Richard had embedded a hidden code within the encryption software. This code contained detailed information about a secret project he had been working on. The project was an advanced encryption algorithm that, if completed, would make any data virtually untraceable. However, the files also contained a series of cryptic messages and instructions. It seemed Richard had anticipated that something might go wrong and had left behind a series of clues to help uncover the truth. The messages hinted at a location where the final piece of the project could be found. The location was an old warehouse on the outskirts of Chicago. Sarah and I decided to investigate it, hoping to find more answers. Part 5, The Warehouse. The warehouse was large and abandoned, with broken windows and a layer of dust covering everything. As we explored, we came across various pieces of old equipment and documents. It was clear that the warehouse had been used for some sort of technology development in the past. In one corner, we found a hidden compartment containing additional files and a prototype device. The device was a part of Richard's encryption project, and it seemed that the final piece of the technology had been built but never deployed. The files also revealed that Richard had been targeted by powerful entities interested in acquiring his technology. His death, it seemed, might not have been an accident. Sarah and I began to piece together that Richard had been working on something that threatened to disrupt the balance of power in the tech industry. Part 6, The Confrontation. As we were wrapping up our investigation, Sarah and I were approached by Evan Carter. He had been following our progress and wanted to confront us. Carter was angry and desperate, claiming that Richard's technology was rightfully his and accusing us of meddling in matters we didn't understand. The confrontation turned heated. Carter revealed that he had been involved in illegal activities to secure Richard's technology and that he had been manipulating events to take control of it. He demanded that we hand over the prototype and all related documents. Sarah and I managed to escape from Carter's threats and contacted the authorities. With the evidence we had gathered, we were able to bring the case to the attention of law enforcement. Carter was arrested and the stolen technology was recovered. Part 7, Closure. The investigation into Richard Johnson's death and the missing technology concluded with a sense of resolution. Richard's contribution to the field of cybersecurity was recognized, and his technology was salvaged and used to improve data security practices. Sarah and I stayed in touch, and her skills as a private investigator led to several more successful cases. As for me, the experience brought closure to the mystery surrounding my uncle and made me appreciate the complexities of the world he had been a part of. I returned to my normal life, but the adventure had changed me. I had uncovered a hidden side of my uncle's life, experienced the thrill of a real investigation, and learned that sometimes the truth is buried deeper than we can imagine. Epilogue Reflections. As I look back on the experience, I realize how one seemingly ordinary day can lead to extraordinary events. The investigation not only brought to light the mysteries surrounding my uncle's death, but also reminded me of the importance of seeking the truth, no matter how deeply it is buried. The last call I received that spring evening was the beginning of a journey that transformed my understanding of my family, the tech industry, and the world of investigative work. And sometimes it's in the most unexpected places that we find the answers we've been searching for all along. Notes from the Forest. Part 1, An Unusual Opportunity. In early autumn 2023, when I still didn't know that it would become one of the most remarkable periods of my life, I worked in a sales office in a small town. The workdays were monotonous and routine until one day I came across an ad on a local forum offering a unique opportunity volunteering to help with research in an ancient forest. The job involved assisting with a study in one of the most mysterious and unexplored areas of the region. The place was covered with dense forests and surrounded by legends. Although I was busy with my main job, I decided to apply, intrigued by the promise of adventure and the chance to learn something new. Part 2, Immersion in the Forest. When I arrived, I was struck by the beauty of the surrounding nature. The forest was truly magnificent. Along with a group of volunteers and scientists, including local experts, we set off into the depths of the forest for several days. Initially, we conducted routine research, collecting plant samples, studying wildlife, and noting anomalies. But during the process, I noticed something strange. The forest contained several ancient trails and ruined structures that were clearly not part of the modern research. I couldn't understand where these constructions had come from and why they were not mentioned in historical records. Part 3, The Mysterious Discovery. One day, while exploring one of these abandoned trails, I came across an old wooden box covered in moss and almost completely buried in the ground. Inside, I found several damp notebooks and letters that had clearly been written many years ago. The notes were handwritten and contained strange records about forest inhabitants, disappearances, and unexplained phenomena. Some of the entries mentioned a mysterious illness that had supposedly claimed the lives of several people in the area many years ago. One letter said, "I fear I will not make it back home. We have found something that should not have been found. The forest is full of secrets that must be kept hidden." These words both frightened and intrigued me. I decided to continue the investigation and find out who left these records and what exactly happened in this forest. Part 4, Investigating Old Archives. Returning to town, I began digging through local archives and libraries trying to find additional information about the events mentioned in the notes. My research revealed that, indeed, several mysterious disappearances and epidemics occurred in this area in the early 20th century. However, official reports and newspapers were often contradictory and incomplete. I found mentions of an old family that lived in the area and owned the land where we were conducting our research. They were known for their strange interests and isolation from society. Their name appeared in lists, but official documents were blurry and incomplete. Part 5: Returning to the forest. The strange notes kept bothering me. I returned to the forest with a new plan to find more evidence and discover what happened to this family and what they might have been hiding. This time, I decided to investigate one of the old houses in the forest. When I arrived at the house, I was struck by its condition. The walls were covered in mold, and the windows were broken. Inside, there were many old items and personal belongings left in haste. I found several old photographs and records that helped me piece together the details. Part 6: Meeting the locals. In search of more information, I decided to speak with local residents who might know more about the history of the area. I met an elderly man named Nikolai, who had lived in the town all his life. He told me that the family I had read about was indeed isolated and engaged in many strange activities. Nikolai mentioned that the family had a special interest in occult practices and medical experiments. He recalled how strange gatherings and experiments took place in their home, and that their disappearance was related to attempts to find a cure for an unknown disease. Part 7: Consequences of the research. My research led me to conclude that the family conducted experiments that resulted in the emergence of an unknown illness. These experiments might have been related to rare plants and animals in the forest. I also discovered that many of the disappearances might have been connected to attempts to study these effects on local residents. The experiments likely led to the development of a dangerous disease that spread in the area, causing fear and mistrust. Part 8: Conclusion. I concluded my research with a deep understanding of the mysteries hidden in the forest. I shared my findings in a documentary film that sparked public interest. My work shed light on the mysterious events of the past and answered questions that had long troubled local residents. The story of the forest secrets became a part of my experience and career, and I will always remember the research and trials I went through. This forest, though filled with mysteries, left me with a profound respect and understanding of nature and its secrets.
Thank you for joining us today on Story Voyage. We hope you enjoyed these incredible stories. If you have your favorite Reddit tales or suggestions for future videos, be sure to leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you won't miss any new episodes. Share this video with your friends and family to enjoy these thrilling adventures together. See you in the next video. Stay with us on Story Voyage, where every story is a journey.